The new coronavirus, which emerged from China and spread to other countries, has infected hundreds of people and caused many deaths. Whilst the virus is far from becoming a pandemic, the World Health Organization and all governments are closely monitoring the situation concerning what the impact of this new virus is going to be and any effective treatment options for it. The threat of any potential worldwide flu pandemic, as seen in the past, presents a very real challenge to the health, social and economic well-being of any country. Any planning and preparation now will certainly help lessen the potential impact of a flu pandemic and aid in recovery. That's why public health professionals around the world are in close contact with each other, and any responsible government with its key domestic partners such as the local councils and health authorities would be working together now to take every practical step to ensure that it prepares well for any flu pandemic. In the UK, the government could implement necessary and proportionate emergency powers in the event of a flu pandemic based on an assessment of the medical and legal advice it receives. Following a meeting of COBRA, the government can decide to pass temporary emergency powers under the Part 2 of the Civil Contingency Act 2004 to respond to a national flu pandemic emergency. Emergency powers are meant to be the last resort, and in a flu pandemic, such powers may well include the following. 1. Travel restrictions to and from particular countries and regions. 2. Quarantining passengers for days and weeks. 3. Severely restricting internal travel between cities and locations using checkpoints and roadblocks. 4. Local area lockdowns, including the movement of livestock, stopping the use of public transport and closing schools and colleges. 5. Banning large-scale public gatherings, including concerts, protests and celebrations. And 6. Instructing people to wear face masks in public, backed by criminal sanctions if they don't. Under the Civil Contingency Act 2004, a flu pandemic can be declared as an emergency only when an event or situation threatens serious damage to human welfare involving loss of life, illness or injury, the environment involving the chemical, biological or radioactive contamination, and security involving war and terror. The impact of a flu pandemic is described in an updated 2017 government guidance as a serious threat. This updated guidance report on flu pandemic states this. Past pandemics have varied in scale, severity and consequence, although in general their impact has been much greater than that of even the most severe winter epidemics. Each pandemic is different, and until the virus starts circulating, it's impossible to predict its full effects. As such, it is impossible to forecast the precise characteristics, spread and impact of a new influenza virus strain. However, based on historical information and scientific evidence, we are able to predict the possible impacts. Many millions of people around the world will become infected, up to around 50% become ill with symptoms, and a variable proportion die from the disease itself or from complications such as pneumonia. In the UK, up to 1/2 of the population may become infected, and between 20,000 and 750,000 additional deaths, that is deaths that would not have happened over the same period of time had a pandemic not taken place, may have occurred by the end of a pandemic in the UK. The effect of declaring an emergency as a result of a flu pandemic aims to trigger public bodies, including emergency services and the NHS, referred to as the first responders, together with second responders, that is the cooperating bodies including transport and utilities, to carry out vital civil protection duties. These civil protection duties would include to assess the range of risks to people, the economy and law and order, to put in place emergency plans including the location of emergency treatment and medicine, and to advise and warn the public, businesses and voluntary organisations of the signs and symptoms of the particular flu strain, and the need to put into place business contingency measures in the case of staff sicknesses. The reported most significant signs of the coronavirus are an onset of a fever, followed by a dry cough and then shortness of breath. Medical reports suggest that the symptoms can remain invisible for up to 14 days, known as the incubation period, with 1 in 4 cases thought to be severe and the virus spreading through close contact. Medical information is still developing, and as yet it's hard to distinguish between ordinary flu and the coronavirus without medical tests. Therefore, anyone having those symptoms and others such as headaches, tiredness, chills, aching muscles, sore throat, runny nose, sneezing, loss of appetite should seek medical treatment, especially if they have travelled from abroad where there has been an outbreak of the virus. In conclusion, the Civil Contingency Act 2004 provides the UK's legal framework to prepare and plan, but also take the necessary and proportionate emergency powers in event of a flu pandemic or any emergency event or situation. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Community Legal Education. Please feel free to comment on this video. Please share this video. Stay safe and may the justice be with you.